there! Today I wanted to talk to you about how to effectively play the last chord of a jazz standard if the melody note is the same as the root of the chord, or the tonic. You'll see this on a lot of different standards. Some examples might be Darn That Dream, My Funny Valentine, It Could Happen to You, My Foolish Heart, among many others. We'll be looking at My Foolish Heart and It Could Happen to You as our examples. So you can see and hear what I'm talking about. I'm going to play the last few chords of My Foolish Heart, which ends on a B flat major chord, and the melody note is also a B flat. In real books, lead sheets, and charts, you'll often see this notated as a major 6th chord or major 7th chord. This presents some unique challenges in effectively voicing this chord. What a lot of pianists would do, especially beginners, is play a standard major 6th voicing. If they saw B flat major 6, they'd play your standard root position major 6th voicing like so. I would highly advise you not to play this voicing. Why? It's very old, outdated, it's a swing era voicing. To me, it sounds really corny, and it just isn't really what you want to play. It's just kind of lame, in my opinion. It starts to sound like gravy waltz or even polka music. Pianists might think, well, I have to have my 3rd and 7th in the chord, and the 7th in the left hand will clash greatly with the melody note on top in the right hand, producing a very harsh minor 9th interval. This is the harshest interval and sound that I know of, and we want to avoid it. So some pianists might play the ending like so. Right, we have the root, the 7, the 3rd, which is how we're traditionally taught to play between our hands. And then we have that major 6th voicing in the right hand. Here's what the ending would sound like playing it in that way. Doesn't sound too great, and we also have that 7th clashing with the melody note, which is that minor 9th, and we want to avoid that. So the logic might then be to play the 7th in the right hand instead of the left, so we have our shells in there, our roots, 3rds, and 7ths, but this will produce a minor 2nd on the top of the voicing. This is how Thelonious Monk played major voicings, but generally it's a bit harsh and abrasive sounding. So how do we address these issues in harsh intervals? Fortunately, there's 2 main ways I found to voice this particular chord type that will sound a lot better. Depending on the register and the key you're playing in, there are 2 main options. The first example is playing all perfect 4th intervals descending from the melody note. This works well because the melody note is in the mid-upper register, and the intervals in the voicing are spread out evenly with nice symmetry. We have the root, 5th, 9th, 6th, 3rd, and root again. The second option is just playing the 3rd with the 9th and the melody note. The left hand can even get away with playing a root in 5th, and it will sound good. This is another modern option that I really like and I use all the time. Notice something with both of those voicings and approaches is that they don't have the major 7 in them. We don't need the major 7th in a major chord. As long as we have the major 3rd, that conveys enough information for it to be a major chord. Now let's look at It Could Happen to You in the key of E flat major. The lead sheet has an E flat major 6th chord at the end, and the melody note E flat sits lower in register, just above middle C. In this register, we can't really use all stacked fourths like we did for the previous example. It's just too low and will sound muddy. So the best option here is to use the third and ninth and a root and fifth in the left hand. So the takeaway is to use all stacked fourths if the melody note is this A or B flat and above, you can get away with stacked fourths. If it's lower than that, I'd recommend using the third and the ninth. Alright, so I hope you found this useful and helpful. If so, please hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Happy practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.